As snipers, we typically patrol out in front of our assault teams. We usually are armed with thermals, obviously night vision and infrared lasers, different climbing tools to climb to the top of buildings across from the target. For the assault teams, it's vital that we get into positions of overwatch. When the assaulters make their final movement onto the objective, we turn around and focus out, providing additional security for them. Our snipers are some of the best in the business. By the time we get to the Tier 1 command, we've got years of training and experience under our belt.
We always adjust the gear we wear to the given mission. This camo pattern that I'm wearing is AOR-2, which was developed by the US Navy and is now worn by the Navy Ground Forces as a woodland camo. The kit I'm wearing is just a lightweight Rhodesian, no place for working in terrain like this. No plates is pretty key because it keeps us light. Snipers are absolutely a force multiplier, whether for Tier 1 or for any other unit. The role of the sniper is still very critical. We're always working in small units, we don't have a lot of guys, and we're not there to hold ground. We're there to hit our target and leave.
In an assault team, you've got your snipers out front, and then you have the assault team where we're patrolling to an objective. Point man of the team is typically out front of, 5, 6, 7, 8-man team. Point man's usually in front, team leader's usually behind him. Get to the target, snipers get into position, and then your assaulters move in and actually take down the compound. My point man, usually he'll creep in, see what doors are open or shut, if they need to be breached. Between my point man and the breacher, they'll work out getting in, whether it's explosives or bolt cutters or picking the lock or, whatever technique or method they decide to use, they get us into the target. Once we're in, there's really not a lot of direction. I'm not telling people where to go. It's kind of big boy rules. Everybody's been doing this job a long time. There's really no reason for me to tell them what to do. Enter the compound and everybody starts clearing it. You choose the weapons and the kit you need for the job. Each mission could be different. Sometimes you may want a 10-inch 416 suppressed. Other jobs you might want a 14-inch with a scope or 7.62 or MP7, pistols only. Whatever you want to do, it's mission specific. It's fast paced, it's aggressive, it's not something you can be timid at. It's something guys train years and years and years to get to the point that guys are at the Tier 1 level.
Teamwork. Obviously, it's a huge thing, right? I mean, you don't work anywhere without some teamwork. I don't care if you're an office manager or SEAL. It's huge. The big thing they say in the SEALs is shoot, move, and communicate. If you can do those things well as a team, you're going to be more successful. If everybody knows how to shoot, kind of know your basics, you know how to move effectively, and you can communicate as a team, you're going to be unstoppable. You need to be able to react quick to a situation, move, shoot effectively, whether it's moving into a situation or moving out of one. We're everyday guys doing our everyday job. It's the helo pilots, it's the intel folks that help us find the targets. It's a much bigger team than just the SEALs. We're very average dudes that are just super dedicated and willing to sacrifice. We don't get paid much, we get shot at a lot, we're in danger a lot. There's something that kind of keeps us together and drives us to continue this line of work. We don't think we're anything more special than anybody else. There's professionals all over the world doing their thing. This is just our thing.
Graduate from selection, you make it to the unit. Typically you end up getting assigned as an assaulter. You begin as an assaulter and you kind of move up the ranks. At a certain point you're offered to go over to snipers if you want. I like the assaulter side of the house just because there seems to be a little bit more action. You're always in the mix, you're clearing the rooms, whereas a sniper you might be outside, holding security, doing that job. I like to be a little bit more in the mix, the fast pace of clearing room to room. We have tons of different types of kit depending on what you're doing. Assaulters can end up, swimming over the beach, taking down a target on land. So that's one set of kit. There might be a different set of kit if we're going to do shipboarding. Weapon's usually outfitted with obviously infrared lasers. I'm wearing night vision goggles. Probably about half the assaulters carry thermal. If I roll an M4 or 416 style weapon suppressed, I typically carry a pistol that's also suppressed just to keep us a little quieter. If I roll an MP7, which is pretty quiet suppressed, then I roll what I call the pirate gun or 40mm grenade launcher. Years of training to get to the level what you'd call tier 1 guy. You know, I spent years at a regular SEAL team before screening, going through a long selection process to even cut it, and make it to tier 1. Once I was in, you know, I spent 8 years at a squadron, and I'm still learning. Still getting better and better. I consider the assaulter the bread and butter of the team. They're the ones that have to actually go and clear the objective. Everybody's got their different jobs. The assaulters are the ones who are going to go through the door, clear the objective, and deal with what's on the other side. Everybody says they're an assaulter, but I'd say very few actually are.
Demo guys are a huge asset. Got all your explosive breaching, got your mechanical breaching, got all sorts of ways to get into a house, and they've got all the tools. Absolutely vital. You know, if you're getting into big bunkers, that takes a special skill set. Breaching through a door in a house is pretty simple. If it's a breaching problem that I can't solve or I need somebody else to do so that I can hold security, you know, give a signal to the breacher. Breacher can kind of come up, assess the situation, work through it with them. If the door's open, you know, I'm kind of waiting for the signal to go, and I'll be the first one moving into the building or compound. You know, climb the ladder up and over the walls, you name it. Demo guys are typically loaded down a little heavier. They carry explosive charges. You know, if need be a sledgehammer, bolt cutters, pry bars, you name it, they've got a little bit of everything. They work the situation out while the point man holds security, but they've got all the tools and the know-how to get in. Every assaulter is trained in breaching, so it's not that difficult, but you got one guy who kind of specializes in it.
Combat is 30 days of boredom for 30 seconds of excitement. When you're just going along doing whatever, you've just conducted that meet, or you're on your way back to the hotel from the embassy, the whole point of an ambush is the enemy picks the place. You don't get to pick when that is. You don't know where that ambush is going to be. When you come through, all of a sudden, you may find yourself in the middle of a near ambush or a vehicular ambush where they've actually got vehicles attacking you, and you've got to be able to throw that switch and go from normal mode all the way into full on, hey, it's time to mix metal and meat together right now. Now, you going and pushing through that scenario, you're surviving that initial contact and being able to live and fight another day is going to fall back on your training. You can't just do like they do in the movies and just start shooting your pistol out the window. You've only got a couple magazines for that sidearm, you waste all your ammo right there, and when your vehicle finally does get disabled, now you've got nothing to fight with. The number one weapon that you have is that vehicle. How well you can fight with that weapon comes down to how much vehicle training you've done in the past. Driving training, very, very important for your operators. The whole purpose of breaching is to give you access into the crisis site. You start working your way up from very subtle techniques such as lockpicking. You get into kicking the doors open. About 80% of the doors, you can just kick them open. The other 20%, they're the reinforced ones that you're going to need your explosive charges on. get into what we would call mechanical breaching, your battering rams, your hula tools, your quickie saws. You start going from there into ballistic breaching. Shotgun breaching, there's different schools of thought on it. All that's important is you've got to get that barrel that it's lined up with the locking mechanism inside the door itself. You start going up from ballistic breaching, you start getting into explosive breaching. When you deal with explosive breaching, you always have to keep in mind what your minimum safe distance is away from that explosive charge with as little collateral damage as possible. Therefore, when you blow that door or that window or that wall, whatever it is, you want to use the minimum amount of force necessary. You want to shock the people in the room, similar to using a flashbang, but you don't want to do them any lethal harm. Pop it, bang, goes off, you're in the room.
Technology has changed the way we fight. Whether it's night vision goggles, thermal imagers, or ISR platforms, we now have a huge technological advantage over our enemies. Operators on the ground depend on the intel they have to do their job and get home safe. Whether it's recon intel from eyes on the ground, or from an intelligence reconnaissance and surveillance or ISR platform in the sky, that information is a game changer for the guys on the ground. It allows us to choose how we approach and hit a target, sometimes without our enemy even knowing we were there. The success for our missions is built on having quality intel that allows us to know how many enemies are on target, where the best place is for us to enter or exit that compound, or even where a hostage might be held. The intel helps us choose our weapons packages, whether we need to be focused on stealth or carry more firepower. It's imperative that you go into a mission with as much info as possible. You can never be too prepared. Once we're on target, having the advantage of today's night vision makes our job a lot easier than it used to be. Operators used to be limited to a narrow field of view. Now with near full field of view night vision, we can fight at night the same way we would during the day, but we still maintain that element of surprise under darkness. Thermal imagers allow us to see enemies that are hiding and may not be visible on our night vision. Once guys are on target, the ISR platforms are our eyes in the sky. They watch our backs. They allow us to know if more enemies are coming to support or which way an enemy may have escaped from target so we can follow. Tier 1 special operation missions are built on having all the tools for the job: the intel, the operators, the gear, and the vehicle assets. All these tools allow you as an operator to come home safe. Every mission starts with the infill, meaning how we infiltrate or insert onto a target. Depending on the mission, we could be inserted by jumping, boats, ground vehicles, or by helos. The Heiho or high altitude, high opening jump is one method. Operators can jump at altitudes up to 30,000 feet. They jump out of the plane, open their chute, and float to their target. Target is in a maritime environment. There are small combat assault craft that can bring us to the fight. These boats can be very large and well armored, all the way down to small inflatable rubber boats with no armor. Typically, the bigger the boat, the more defendable it is, but also the less maneuverable. The Rib is the most well-rounded boat in the inventory, and that's what we use on most missions. Ground mobility also plays a role in most operations as well. Whether you're riding in a Pander or a Humvee or a JTV, which is basically a tactical truck, they all allow you a certain amount of maneuverability. When you have heavy loads you can't carry on your backs, or distances to travel farther than you can foot patrol, this form of insertion can be very reliable. It's also very easy to mount heavy weapons on these vehicles when needed, although if you get into contact while in a vehicle, speed can be your friend. Dirt bikes provide an additional level of maneuverability, and when used in conjunction with bigger vehicles, the total package can be very effective. If you can't foot patrol to the target, and driving isn't an option, then we're left with the helo insert. By far the most agile and nimble of the helos SOF forces use are the MH-6 and the AH-6 helicopters. The MH-6s can quickly deliver the assaulters directly to the target faster than any other helo out there. Due to their small size and relative speed, they make a great insertion platform when we need to get in and out quick. It present a small target and can insert the assaulters before anybody on the ground figures out what's happening. These assets give operators the ability to maintain the maximum level of surprise they need when planning a mission. With as many options on the table as possible, it allows operators multiple choices how to attack each target and hopefully come home safe.
The first-person shooting game Medal of Honor Warfighter has brought 7 members of the secretive Navy SEAL Team 6 into the crosshairs of discipline. The SEALs are alleged to have divulged classified information to Electronic Arts, the maker of the game. Scott Taylor, a former SEAL, says the disclosure would do little to help enemies of the U.S. and likely hurt the SEALs professionally.
Well, I don't know if terrorists can just, take from a video game tactics or whatever. I really don't know if they can do that or not. But it does speak to a bigger issue that just, hey, if you're not authorized to give out information or speak about the information, and you've signed a waiver to not do so, then you have to be held accountable.
Each of the 7 received a punitive letter of reprimand and a partial forfeiture of pay. Those actions generally hinder a military member's career. SEALs, including some of those involved in the Osama bin Laden raid, have been uncharacteristically prominent in the news this year.
The former Navy SEAL Mark Bissonnette, who wrote the book No Easy Day about killing Osama bin Laden, was actually also reportedly a consultant for Medal of Honor Warfighter.
Both active duty and retired SEALs possess highly sensitive information about tactics and techniques. That's why they're obliged to sign non-disclosure agreements, and it's why the Pentagon came down on these elite fighters. Sagar Meghani, Associated Press.